Hello and welcome, dear students. Today I'm back with another class, another topic from your English text. And the topic that I've taken up today is from a poetry section. The poem that I've taken is Money. It is by William Henry Davis. Now, before I start telling you about the poem, let us first talk about the poet. Now, this poet had a very unusual background. He was not born in any rich family or he did not have any smooth childhood, simple childhood, a normal childhood that everybody usually has. He was born in Britain, but you'll be surprised to know that he never settled with any regular work. He just did whatever came in his way. He led a wandering life without settling down at one particular place. Now, he spent many years as a tramp. All right, again, a tramp, I've given the meaning on the slide. It's a person who travels on foot because he's quite poor. He does not have any source of income to go or to travel. Again, he even worked as a peddler. Peddler is a person who sells, stolen goods, used goods, reused. All right, so whatever jobs he took up, he just took up whatever came in his way. He never really thought about settling down in one particular place. Maybe life never gave him an opportunity. All right. But after many years of wandering, he was finally able to publish his poems. Now, how did he think about writing the poems? Or what are his poems about? Now, students, since this particular person, William Henry Davis, he traveled for a very long time, definitely he must have met a lot of people. Now, when you meet a person, your experience is absolutely different from the other person. So this means that William Henry Davis also had multiple kinds of experiences. Some might have been good, some might have been bad, some might have been terrible. But every experience must have taught him a new lesson, like how it teaches us. Hence, today, the poem that we have in our I'll go to the next slide. Now, what is the theme of the poem? The poem gives underlying message that money is not everything in life. It cannot bring real happiness. Definitely, students, for a hungry person, more than money, what is important for him is food. For a person who is dying out of thirst, if you try to give him money, he'll refuse. Why? Because at that moment, all he wants is a few drops of water. Again, for a person, no matter how rich he is, what if he does not have a family? Do you think he's going to be rich or is he going to be happy? He's rich, right? But what is richness? For every person, students, the term richness is different. Some people are rich in terms of money. Some people are rich in terms of family and friends. So students, we all need to identify what our real happiness is or what our real richness is. Again, as I told you, we have different kinds of experiences when we meet different people in our life. All right. But we also make friends. Now, how do you make out if your friend is a real one or a true friend? If that friend of yours helps you, gives you adequate advice, in times of problems, stands up for you, supports you, that friend is a true friend. He might be poor, he or she might not be rich, he or she might not be educated. But then the fact that those friends or that particular friend is standing up for you, supporting you, is his definition of true friend. That is why, students, we have a proverb, friends in need are friends indeed. So that is what is the message from the poet also. The true friends are those who remain with you under any situation, even when you do not have money. Now this poem is simple. It has got 5 stanzas, 4 lines each. The language is also pretty simple. And basically the poem, that's what tries to tell us that when he was rich, when the poet says when he was rich, he had several friends. But then came a time when he saw poverty as well, when he lost all his money. That time, he realized who his true friends were. Only a few friends were there who stood for him. That time he realized that most of his friends were not his friends, but were friends of his money, the money he had, the money which he owned. And hence, the name of the poem is Money. As you can see, students, there are 5 stanzas. Every stanza has got 4 lines. Okay, now as usual, we'll go on to do every stanza bit by bit. Coming to the first stanza. When I had money, money, oh, look at this unusual interjection. Usually we start with interjection, oh. Here the poet has used oh in the end of the line. And of course, this is intentional. Okay, we'll explain, we'll learn about it. When I had money, money, oh, I knew no joy till I went poor. For many a false man, as a friend, came knocking all day at my door. So, as I told you, the language is really simple. And we can make out that the poet is talking about his past experience. He says that when he had money, this means that he is recollecting his past, when he was rich. All right. Okay, he had a lot of money at that time. But when he lost all the money, when he went poor, that was the time he realized its importance. Doesn't this happen with all of us? Till we have something, whether it's a person or a thing, we do not realize its value. We realize its value only when it is too late. Either the person has left us, God forbid, or either we don't have that thing. Okay, so similarly here the poet says, I never realized its importance till I was poor. For many a false man as a friend. That's what he says. He had many false friends. That when he was poor, he realized that all his so-called friends were all false. Your false meaning they were all fake. Okay, they were very unfaithful, unloyal. All right. They all used to knock at his door. Knock at his door means not actually knocking, but coming to meet him, saying hi, hello. So every day, almost every day, meaning even very frequently, they all used to come to meet him. But he realized that they all did not come to meet him, but they all came to meet the money that he had. Next stanza. So your students, line 1 is repetition. The word is repeated. Line 3 is alliteration. All right, because alliteration means a single letter is repeated. So here the letter F in the words for, false and friend is repeated for poetic effect. Okay, the last line, students, knock. Knock is a sound. Now, are you able to recollect the figure of speech when a sound is used in a poem? Yes, it is onomatopoeia. All right, that we'll see in the coming slides. So, students, now let us move to the next stanza. Then I felt like a child that hold a trumpet that he must not blow because a man is dead. I dared not speak to let this false world know. It's again a very unusual simile. The poet compares himself to a small child. The child has got a trumpet. A trumpet, as you can see on the screen I've given, it's a musical instrument. The child cannot blow. He is very unhappy because he cannot blow it. And why is he not able to blow? Because the child knows that the situation around him is not favorable. There is a death nearby. So that is not the occasion to blow the trumpet. Now, in what way is the poet comparing himself to a child? We'll understand only when we read the last line. I dared not speak to let this false world know. The poet says, I dare not let the false world know that how false or how unfaithful or how hypocrite they are. So he says that the false world, okay, the unfaithful world, I cannot tell them, I cannot reveal it to them that how unfaithful they are. Truth is always bitter, isn't it? And that is why the poet says, I cannot tell this truth to the world. Hence, he compares himself to the child. The child cannot use the trumpet. The poet cannot reveal the truth. The truth about how false the world is. Okay. Similarly, I've explained, which I'm going to read it out. So here, the poet compares his situation to a child who has a trumpet, but he cannot blow it at that time. And why? As I told you, there's somebody who is dead close by. And the child also knows it is not the right occasion. Similarly, when now the poet is poor, he has understood how the real world is, or the real side is of his friends is. But of course, he cannot talk to them or tell them all this on their face. All right, they might not like it. So both the child and the poet are in similar situation. So the first line definitely is a simile because the use of the word like. And the poet directly compares himself to a child. Inversion. Inversion is seen in the second line. The line is not in correct order. Students, try as and where possible. Wherever there's inversion, you need to give the correct order as well. Okay, and the correct order can be that he must not blow a trumpet. I repeat, that he must not blow a trumpet. So here we are done with the second stanza. Moving on to the third one. Much have I thought of life and seen how poor men's hearts are ever light, how their wives do hum like bees about their work from morn till night. Again here, Now see, look at the very first line of this third stanza. The poet is talking about his experience of life. Much have I thought of life, which means he says that I have tried so many things in life. I have done so many things. I've met so many people. Okay, and that experience. Okay, now whatever he's talking in this stanza is the result of his experience. What is he able to see? He has seen how poor men's hearts are ever light. Here light meaning not brightness, students, but here how poor men, poor people, in spite of their poverty, in spite of the fact that they do not have lot of things, they are quite satisfied with whatever they have. They will try their level best to make life of people around them little better. Even their wives, they definitely work more than the men. They are as busy as honeybees, but still they are always humming songs of happiness. Students, it has always been tradition. In olden days, when all the women used to do work together, they usually used to sing songs. This was because when they sang songs, it was a source of entertainment, and the difficult work or the tough work, the time consuming work that they did went off really smoothly, quickly. And so, you're also students, their wives, they work harder than them, but they manage to be happy. They sing songs like bees. Did you notice again in the third line, students? It's the figure of speech simile, because the wives are directly compared to honeybees. They work from morning till night. Morn is a short form of morning. So now that I've explained, I'm going to read out the slide. The poet has seen too much in life. Yes, I've already told you, he was a street singer, he sang on the streets, a wanderer, never stayed at one place, a peddler. Peddler, he sold off stolen things or reused things. So basically, he's done a lot of different things in life. And that is when he's realized, he's observed all these things. That poor people, in spite of having nothing, they try their level best to make others a little happy, because they themselves are that way. They are satisfied. Okay, they find pleasure in small things. Students, have you ever noticed you do not require a lot of money to be happy? A child, a small baby, even if you give it a colorful piece of paper or an empty cardboard box, it finds its pleasure. But only when it starts growing up. The parents, when they buy expensive toys for the child, that is when the child starts defining what is happiness. Till that time, the child is used to playing with any simple material found in the house. Same is with the poor men and their families. Moving on to poetic devices, line 1 is again inversion. See here, I have given the correct order. So every time you have inversion, you need to note the spelling, you need to explain, and you also need to give the correct order. Then line 3, I told you it's a simile and onomatopoeia. Why onomatopoeia? Because the word hum is the sound of a honeybee. Last line, line 4, its antithesis because morn and night are opposite words used. So here we come to the end of this stanza. Now the fourth stanza. So when I hear these poor ones laugh, laugh meaning not actually laughing, students, finding happiness, being happy, being stress-free, and see the rich ones called frown. The rich ones are always worried of one thing or the other. We always feel that why aren't we rich? But the rich people always crave, always desire to be simple. Because the life that they live is not as green as we think. So, thus here the poet says, when I hear the poor ones laugh and see the rich ones coldly frown, poor men, think I, need not go up so much as the rich men should come down. Do not take the meaning of the poem literally as it's written. The poet is not asking the poor men to climb floors or the rich men to come down. But here the poet is expecting the rich men to learn something from the poor. Because as I told you, as I already explained, the poor know to celebrate simple pleasures of life. Whereas the rich, in their race of running behind their richness, they forget what life is, what family is, what simple everyday celebrations are. So now let's read the slide. It is often noticed that the poor people, they have limited things in life, but they do live with a smile because they have learned to be happy. Okay, so here the word laugh, it can be happy, it can be satisfied. Whereas the rich, in spite of having everything, they find it difficult to smile because they are worried most of the time. The rich, if they cannot celebrate happiness, what is the use of their richness? As I told you, a hungry person cannot eat money. A thirsty person cannot drink money. A person without a family cannot, enjoy only with money. So, that is why in the very beginning of this poem, I told you that money cannot buy everything. It cannot buy happiness. It is important, yes, it is important in life, but then you need to decide how much money do you require. Will you be really happy if you get all the money? So that is what, students, we all need to introspect. We all need to make a study of our own mind. Now, let's go about reading the second point. The rich, in spite of having everything, find it difficult to smile as they are worried most of the time. I've already explained this. So, as I told you, students, don't confuse yourself in the third and the fourth line. The poet is not asking the poor men to go up or the rich men to come down. It is only that the poet is giving a simple advice to rich people to learn something from the poor. Okay, so this is a continuation of the earlier stanza. The poor know to celebrate simple situations, but the rich have almost forgotten. And so they need to learn this. I've already explained you. Now, again, laugh is a sound. So students, before even looking at the slide, try to guess which figure of speech is it. If you have got the figure of speech correct, try to read out the spelling. See if you are able to give the spelling without looking at the slide. It is very important that you know the correct spelling. Line 3 and 4. Students, which is the figure of speech where we used opposite words? Isn't it antithesis? I've told you, anti means opposite. Next, last stanza. Now again, this stanza is a little similar to the first stanza. The line is repeated, if you've noticed. So when I had money, oh. Here, he's again giving out an exclamation. Okay, we use exclamation when we need to express strong feelings or emotions. Now that he had money, he knew how his friends were. Okay, all those friends which were there with him, he realized, as I told you, they were not his friends, but friends with the money that he had. But now that I have no money, there's no money. Oh, see, here he is not sad at all. Okay, here he is not sad at all. In fact, he is quite happy that he has come to know about the real side of his fake friends. Fake meaning untrue. Okay, fake meaning untrue. Okay, now he says his friends are also poor and they're few. But those are his real friends. Those friends will stand up for him. I go on to reading of the slide. When the poet was rich, the friends who were that time with him have proved to be unfaithful, untrue. It means that all those friends were never sincere with him. Okay, they were not his friends, but the friends of money that he had. And they are not his friends right now in his present condition. So when he has no money, he's finally found out who his true friends are. And they are not many, they are very few. Thus, students, can we say the poet has found real happiness in the company of, shouldn't it apply to our lives as well? We need to understand who our real friends are. This particular poem is very close to realism. It's quite realistic. The best part is it is put in simple language. So with this, students, all the 5 stanzas are done and we have come to the end of this poem. The poem contains 5 stanzas, 4 lines each, and few figure of speech like simile, onomatopoeia, and as I told you, you need to do the spellings of those as well. I just hope you go through these slides as many times as you can so that you are able to answer the questions in the exam. All right. So with this, students, I've come to the end of this session. Very soon, we'll be back with another topic from our syllabus. Thank you.